Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes, a podcast where we talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, comic books, anime, food, music, whatever we feel like at the time really. My name is Dan with H and with me as always my co-host Tavi. Hi Tavi.
Yeah, hello everyone. Hello Dan.
Hello.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, ho ho ho.
Ho 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 indeed.
How are you enjoying your Christmas?
Yeah, it's alright.
I heard it's hot in Melbourne.
Yeah, or, I guess our international audiences, we don't get snow in Christmas.
Yeah.
It gets very hot.
Gives a pretty different feel to Christmas in general, right? Like, we still watch all the Christmas movies that are set in the Northern Hemisphere, so we're still looking at white Christmases and such.
Yeah.
But in reality, we're just in like t-shirt and short, just sweating our balls off while watching these films.
Well, I'm basically just in a singlet and shorts at the moment while I'm recording this for my
It's
end.
a different vibe.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I do enjoy like the Christmas period.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually like going out to shopping malls and stuff before, as I was telling you before.
You went to Costco, right?
Went to Costco and it was like pretty busy, and it's like, oh yeah, let's, get what you need and get the fuck out kind of thing. But yeah, like, I like seeing friends and family and just the kind of the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, it is.
Whatnot.
It is a good time to hang out with family.
Yeah.
Once a year, I say, is a good time to hang out with family.
Yeah.
That's probably enough.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you and I come from Buddhist backgrounds, and furthermore, you and I probably don't practice religion as much as maybe our parents did.
Sure.
Or our ancestors did. So
I mean, we've been to temples and stuff when we were kids, but ever since we got old enough to make our own decisions, we haven't really attended those kinds of things.
But I don't think I guess if you're gonna call it an Asian Christmas is too much different from what most people would picture a Christmas. It's a gathering of family and friends.
For sure. We got turkey, we got ham and shit.
we got oysters, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've got larp.
Oh yeah, we got love. Yeah, there's usually a gathering at someone's house. It's usually at one of the parents' houses, and then everyone just brings a dish.
That's right. Yeah, just do a potluck.
Just chill out.
Okay.
And watch Christmas movies is what we wanted to get onto today.
Yeah, we are going to eventually talk about some Christmas films.
The conception of this episode was, let's find some Asian Christmas films, which we didn't really realize how few and far between they are.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense because, Christmas is traditionally a Western holiday. So, I guess only fairly recently it's been more celebrated in countries in the East, like South Korea, Japan. Not sure. I'm guessing China does Christmas, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, really?
It's a religious holiday.
Not even like the commercial aspect of Christmas, though, like the shopping and the Christmas trees in the shopping malls and Christmas tunes playing in shopping malls.
I'll have to ask John Cena if they do that.
Whatever they're doing a good job, according to John Cena.
But yeah, I guess two of the films we'll be talking today come from Japan. And I guess you mentioned, since you and I spent a fair bit of time in Japan, and we've spent I think I've spent maybe 3 Christmases there. How would you describe it? It's pretty different. It's more couples orientated
for sure.
So if you're single,
it's not a great time if you're single. That's true. I mean, it's for friends as well, I guess, like friendship groups. For Japanese people, like the main family holiday tends to be New Year's. Where they go to the shrine and stuff. But yeah, for Christmas, because it's a fairly newly instituted occasion. I think, it tends to be more for younger people and for young friends and young lovers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely a newer generation celebrated holiday because it's not a public holiday. So a lot of people work during Christmas, but
me included.
Just
when I was there.
Yeah, just because it's not a old tradition, it doesn't mean that Japan is exempt from the commercialism of Christmas.
Oh, I think in many ways it's more commercial because it is that very surface level appreciation. Like there's no religious aspect to it, or not much anyway. There are of course Christians in Japan, but for most of the people that celebrate it, it is just a fun time, really. Time to go shopping for presents and go look at Christmas lights in the streets. People put up Christmas trees, I guess. A lot of KFC involvement.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you want to explain the KFC thing to listeners that might not be aware?
This was pretty new to me when I went there, when it was my first Christmas there, and I was staying at your place, and then you talked about KFC. And I was like, what's this thing about KFC? And basically, because I guess in Japan, having ovens and, big cooking feasts for friends and families and big gatherings aren't really a thing. So you just go to KFC and order like a Christmas hamper, and it usually comes with a lot of chicken. It comes with some roast chicken as well.
Yeah, it's not the
turkey leg.
It's not the basic original recipe stuff. They go all out during Christmas, right? With roasts. Yeah,
you have to pre-order it. But I remember when you and I went, because we lived in fucking Higashi Funabashi.
It's not really a busy area.
Not a busy area. We just walked to the KFC near your place, and then we just said, give us this, and they just gave it to us. It was like, okay, cool.
Then we took it back to my apartment and ate it on the floor while watching probably not a Christmas movie. I don't know. We were probably watching K-pop or something.
We watched a lot of K-pop and J-pop in our time together. Which we'll probably explore in some episode in the future.
But the KFC thing is weird. It's like, for some reason, KFC has got the monopoly on Christmas dinners in Japan. It probably has something to do with I guess for most people, because they live in small apartments, they don't really have access to an oven. So cooking a big roast turkey is not really an option. But,
We definitely had a few Christmas gatherings with some people who will probably listen to this podcast. So shout out to you guys who, hosted the traditional Western style Christmas with a gathering. That was a lot of fun. Got drunk a lot. It's always,
it wouldn't be Christmas without friends, right? I mean, like when we were living in Japan, that friendship circle was like our I guess pseudo family. So
most definitely, for sure. If you're a pure Japanese, Christmas is probably with like your partner.
Like the atmosphere in Christmas is it's pretty romantic. Like they have things like things called illuminations, which are just areas that are just really well decorated with Christmas lights.
I was going to bring that up. I really remember just walking through the parks and stuff, especially in Shibuya. They have the I don't know what it's called, and I forgot which park, but it's like illuminated in blue, and there's just a long stretch.
I think I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it though.
I'm pretty sure I went there with you, and we were drunk because you can buy like a bottle of whiskey for like $10,
and you can drink outdoors, so you can walk around while drinking and while having an open bottle
and being an obnoxious foreigner. Actually, if anyone is interested in listening to maybe me and yours adventures in Japan, we should probably do some kind of landmark episode, and then we can just talk about that shit.
That sounds really self-serving. I love it. I like that idea, Tommy.
But I guess, we wanted to talk about Christmas movies with Asians, I guess, which was the whole point of this podcast. We came across 2 Christmas movies from the West featuring Asians and 2 from Japan, we were going to talk about, I guess we'll talk about the two American ones first, because we were going to kind of do somewhat of a deep dive. But upon watching these two particular movies, we found out that they're not very interesting.
If we tried to do a deep dive on these films, we'd end up breaking our necks because of how shallow they are. But yeah,
you didn't even finish one of them, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't finish one of them, and I half watched the other one. But yeah, we were going to talk about Last Christmas, which came out this year, right?
No, Last Christmas was 2019.
Oh, really? Okay.
All right. According to the wiki that I'm looking at
Fair
at the
enough.
moment.
Starring Henry Golding and Daenerys
Emilia Clarke.
Yes.
Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah.
And
we were also going to talk about Love Hard, which...
with Nina Dobrev from Vampire Diaries fame, and Jimmy O Yang. It's funny, when I was first talking about this movie, there's an Australian comedian called Aaron Chen who looks exactly like Jimmy O Yang. To me, anyway. That's just, whatever, racist, but I'm Asian, so it's all right.
Yeah,
but
I
was telling people about this movie. I was like, oh yeah, I was watching this crappy Christmas movie with Aaron Chen. And then I realized, oh shit, Aaron Chen and Jimmy O Yang are different people. Because Aaron Chen's Australian, Jimmy O Yang's American, and they're both comedians.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
And they both wear glasses. I mean, which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk about Last Christmas first, since it's older.
Yeah. All right. I guess.
Do you wanna give us a rundown on the plot?
Yeah. So
we're not going to spoil these films as well, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I don't really care if we spoil them or not.
I don't think. Actually, some of our listeners might find them interesting to watch.
Fine, we won't spoil them for you. All right, Last Christmas.
Yeah. So, fuck. I mean, should I just read the wiki?
Yeah, go for it. You gotta open it.
That's how much work we put into this. So the film stars Emilia Clarke as a disillusioned Christmas store worker who forms a relationship with a mysterious man, brackets Henry Golding, and begins to fall for him. And that's it.
Oh, sorry. I blacked out for a second.
What? So I guess to go further and Emilia Clarke, she plays Kate.
Yeah.
And she's kind of the down and out person who's, I don't know, a bit clumsy and is an actress.
Sure.
Or a singer. Or wants to be
a
singer.
She's your Bridget Jones of this story, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Henry Golding is Tom Webster, who's, the hunk of the movie. And that's basically it.
So to be clear, the link to Asia in this case is just Henry Golding. Is that...
No, Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh's in it randomly as well. Yeah.
Who's apparently named Santa, but her character's name is Huang Qing-shin or something. Her and Henry Golding's second movie together, I suppose.
Is it?
After Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, yeah, right, of course.
So, I mean, what can we say about this movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty
by the numbers.
pretty stock standard romance set during Christmas.
Yeah.
I guess there is a twist, but basically, Emilia Clarke's character she meets this mysterious individual played by Henry Golding, and they slowly develop a relationship. And he kind of helps her through these troubles that she's having. It's set during Christmas. I guess there are Christmas themes in there.
There are some some discrimination themes of immigration, because she plays a Yugoslavian character because her parents are migrants.
Right.
So there's a very, very loose theme about Brexit at the time. And there's that particular scene where it's there's a Yugoslavian couple talking, and you see typical, pasty British kind of chav-esque guy go, "Oi, we speak English, yeah?" Fuck off or something,
He
didn't say that.
Isn't the dad he really likes England, but the mum is more patriotic to their roots. Is that the dynamic?
I think so.
Something like that.
I remember that, yeah. And then you find out that her sister is like in a same-sex marriage or something, and their parents are a bit iffy about that.
Yeah,
Not same-sex,
Emilia
like,
Clarke's character outs her. Like,
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So Emilia Clarke's character is very unlikable in the first half of the movie. But like, as you know, with these kind of movies go, she admittedly does grow on you. And like, I was expecting to go and hate this movie. I don't love it and I don't hate it. I think it's fine. It's just a, you know, pretty easy to watch, cute movie.
Was it easy to watch though?
Yeah, surprisingly. I don't know. Like, I was just sitting there and like, yeah, like whatever, you know. It didn't take me too many sittings to get through, and maybe it's because I've watched some rom-coms in the past couple of weeks.
We're not the target audience for sure. Right?
Yeah, we're not the target audience, but you know, it's not a movie worth hating. It's just a simple movie, you know. It's like if you're into this stuff, you'll probably like it. Like, I mean, for me, the big issue is that the jokes aren't funny. There are these like two police officers that are like trying to crack jokes through the movie at some points, if you remember them. And I was like, oh, you know, this is this is not funny. And it just kind of goes on for a bit too long. I think when the movie is not trying to be a comedy, it's actually not bad. Like, I didn't mind some of the, like, you know, scenes of chemistry just between Henry Golding and Emilia Clarke near the end. And, like, I did find myself wanting, you know, Katerina or Emilia Clarke to, like, you know, get a good ending. And she does some sincere stuff. But yeah, it's, you know, it's probably a movie that I'll forget.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty non-offensive, but from what I remember. And yeah, all the Christmas stuff is there, like, you know, miracles, turning your life around. Did they actually play the song Last Christmas in the film? I feel like...
I think so, yeah, at the end, when she sings.
Sure.
I mean, should we just spoil it? Or like, I mean, I don't think people are going to... Do you think people who are listening to this are going to watch it?
Well, if you do want to watch this film, for some reason, yeah, you can skip ahead because, yeah, we're going to drop the main spoiler, I guess, now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Henry Golding turns out to be a ghost.
Because he gave his heart.
That's right.
Literally gave his heart to Katerina.
And I only just now, Tavi, just now understood the significance of the title of the film in relation to the plot.
It's very not subtle. It's really not subtle at all.
But yeah, so Emilia Clarke had a heart defect or something, so she needed heart surgery, right? And then
she had a heart transplant.
And it turns out it was Henry Golding's heart, and he appeared to her as a ghost because she was starting to think less of her life or not value her own existence, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, because he gave her a second chance, it's kind of like, yeah, she should appreciate this kind of her own life a bit more. So yeah, he does some ghost stuff, makes her appreciate her own life, makes her turn her life around and figure out that, you know, she actually can do a lot of good in the world, and she does. Yeah. She's a bit screwed up, I guess, because of her heart stuff. But yeah, she manages to turn her life around, I guess. She makes amends with her sister, who, as previously mentioned, she outed to her parents, which, a pretty dick move, but I think they make amends in the end. She sets us up a homeless pageant or something, so does something philanthropic.
Yeah, my brain's not really firing much about this movie.
No, it's not great. It's not a great film, even for a Christmas film. There are so many other better Christmas films out there.
Yeah, I mean, watch Home Alone or watch like the
Jingle
Christmas
All the
Story.
Way, man.
Jingle. Watch Jet Black's Jingle All the Way in the first 2 episodes of Cowboy Bebop.
No, don't watch that show.
I mean, whether you watch it or not is not going to make a difference at this point.
That's pretty true.
So, but yeah.
R.I.P. Cowboy Bebop, the live action series.
Yes. I mean, is there anything more you want to say?
Let's stop talking about Last Christmas. Let's talk about Love Hard.
Yeah, the movie that you didn't finish. So I'll give a bit of a fucking...
Give us a plot. Give us a plot for Love Hard.
A synopsis. So the wiki says, Love Hard is about a young woman who travels to her online crush's hometown for Christmas, but discovers she's been catfished. Oh my God.
Is that what the wiki says? Oh my God.
No, it doesn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I added that. I had my own little twist there. I mean, yeah. The Asian link to this movie is Jimmy O Yang's character who catfishes the protagonist, Natalie Bauer, who is she's like a journalist who is notorious for writing articles about her bad dates on Tinder, I guess, or a Tinder-esque app that they use in the movie. But yeah, she finds a dude that she likes, but she gets catfished. I mean, there's some Asian themes in here. There's the Asian grandma and the dad he's been in a few movies I've seen. He was in James Saito is the dad. He was in Always Be My Maybe.
Okay.
And he was in this other movie on Netflix called Tiger Tail, which is like about like a Taiwanese family. I haven't seen it, but apparently it's pretty good.
Yeah, he's all right in this film.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's pretty like not super stereotypical.
Yeah, he's just a chill Asian dad, really.
Yeah, which is like, you know, they exist.
Yeah, my dad's a chill Asian dad.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I mean, where did you get up to in this movie?
I got pretty close. I got pretty close to the end. I got up to the all is lost moment of the film.
Oh yeah.
Where the big secret is revealed to everybody, kind of thing.
Oh, that's basically the end of the movie.
Yeah. I looked and I could probably connect the dots and see where it was going, so I just didn't bother going back to it. After we decided not to cover it anymore for this podcast.
I actually watched this movie twice, because
so you got a lot to say about it then, I guess.
I mean, because the first time when we were conceiving this idea, I watched it then, and I initially really despised this movie because I just like the first half of the movie is just all the rom-com tropes I don't like. You know, it's not funny. It has annoying characters. It gets a little bit, you know, saccharine at times. And it's just basically, for lack of a better word, it's just kind of lame, I guess.
Yeah.
The second time, though, I was like, you know, I think I was just chilling at home and I just ordered some fish and chips and had a beer. And I admittedly enjoyed the movie a bit more on the second viewing, so I was kind of knew what I was expecting. Because there are aspects of this movie that I do like. I didn't mind the second half so much, and I actually did like some of the direction, like near the scene where you said there's the big reveal.
Yeah.
In that, like, the wedding hall scene, like it's a tracking shot and it's just like it's edited to look like one shot,
sure,
and the camera like moves around a lot and it's like quite disorientating. And like, I didn't mind that scene. I like the scene where they're about to be outed, because there's a plot point where, well, the plot after Natalie and Josh kind of find out about each other, and she finds out she's been catfished, they kind of agree to pretend to be couples and then pretend to get married. But then there's the scene where it's going to be published in the newspaper for some reason, so they go around to all the houses frantically to like collect all the papers. And then they're just kind of aggravating the paper boy, which is kind of funny. It would have been funny if they like tied him up or something. But it's probably too dark for this kind of movie.
I did find it a lot funnier than Last Christmas. Yeah.
It's I don't know, man.
I was saying that it kind of feels like a film from a different era. Like it's got that kind of plot where a guy and a girl, they're not love interests, but they kind of have an arrangement where, like, a mutually beneficial arrangement to kind of help each other achieve goals. Like, in this case, Jimmy O Young's character is helping Natalie get the real hunk, I guess. And
that's right. The very bland character, and extremely. I guess he's supposed to be bland because you don't want to fall for him.
And Natalie is helping. What's Jimmy O Young's character's name? Natalie is
Aaron Chen.
Natalie is helping
Josh Lin.
Okay.
Josh Lin.
Natalie is helping Josh by pretending to be his girlfriend so that his family is happy and thinks more highly of him during the holidays, because he's kind of always spent his life playing second fiddle to his older brother, who is a overachiever and always the center of attention. That character I found really funny.
He was having fun with his character. I feel like if there was a bit more of a dimension to him, because like you kind of see it when he apologizes at the end, but then it's kind of just like But I feel like it would have been interesting if Josh like fully snapped at him, and it's just like, I'm fucking sick of your shit. I guess that's like the point of his character, because you as an audience, you're supposed to despise him, because he's a bit of an asshole.
It's pretty funny,
but
though.
a more interesting character than Tag, because basically what the movie is saying that a full Asian guy is not as attractive as a half Asian guy. Because Asian men are the least attractive. And it's got the grandma, and the grandma, she has that trope.
She's cringe, man.
She's pretty cringe. There was one line in this movie that brought it down an entire score, which is she's like, it's when Nina first goes to the house.
Natalie.
Is it Nina? No, that's the actress's name. So I'm just like mixing up. Like, if you've noticed, I mixed up Amelia Clark with like Kate. Vampire Diaries girl meets
meets Aaron Chen's family.
Meets Aaron Chen's family. And there's a line, because they don't know who she is, and she's trying to imply that she is like their girlfriend.
Yeah, she says, maybe we're more than friends. And
it's like, and then the stepmom goes like, the G word, and it's like, the G word. What do you mean by the G word? And the grandma just says, like, just out of nowhere, she's like, geisha, and I was just like, no. This movie is garbage. I paused it. I had to stop watching after that. That's really
not a great line.
That's really bad writing. Because like, out of any context, I'm just going to try to walk into the writer's mind. I don't know their names, but like it wasn't written by Asians, so it's just kind of like, oh well, the grandma's Asian, and like geisha's Asian, but it's like, Josh Lin is a Chinese guy, and I'm assuming that the dad's played by a Japanese American actor,
right.
But I'm assuming that they're Chinese for the movie. Like, why would you just say geisha? And I'm assuming the writer's saying, oh, because she's Asian, and like, I mean, Natalie Bauer's not Asian, nor is she a prostitute. So, like, it just kind of, it doesn't make any sense.
It's just throwing in an Asian word for the sake of having an Asian word in it. Yeah.
Like, the grandma gets a bit less grating because they stop trying to make her funny. They stop with that characterization, because she's a bit cringe during the dinner. There's a dinner scene where she just like says a bunch of swear words. And it's like, I mean, like, where haven't I seen this trope?
Yeah, the horny grandma that's trying to get back into the game. It's just, that's what I meant when I feel like it was from a different era of film. There's a lot of tired tropes in it. Like the whole plot as well is something straight out of like a Drew Barrymore film. Like a She's All That kind of like what's it called, farcical escapade, where they're always trying to hide the truth from people, but the truth is always like on the verge of coming out, kind of thing. The only difference is that the plot is driven by like social media and by getting catfished. It's got like those kind of newer plot devices, which I'm not a huge fan of as well.
Yeah, neither am I. I think it's an element in movies that I don't really like is the text message bubble on screen.
Sometimes
heavy,
it's done
heavy
well.
emphasis on apps. Sometimes it's done in the social network.
The social
which
network
is basically the movie that started it all.
Searching is quite good as well, I think.
That's whole movie though.
Yeah,
so
that's
searching
true.
it makes sense.
But even things like what's it called? BBC's Sherlock does it fairly well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. I don't know.
It's just when it's used as like a plot device, I think is when what irks me. When like everything about the characters is driven by this kind of social media stuff.
There was a pretty popular, not related to Christmas, but there was a pretty not popular movie, but there was a infamous movie, I should say, that was called Swiped, which is basically about an app. And the internet kind of went a bit ham on it, and then the director started attacking people who were like commenting on the movie, saying that it's like, it has deeper meaning when it's just crap. But yeah, that movie is centered around an app, and it's pretty crap. And it's kind of like, it has that kind of influence maybe has bled onto this movie. But yeah, like, I don't know, like the second half of the movie is all right. After you, I guess it's kind of like, the COVID shots. Like you take the first jab and you feel a bit sick the day after. But then when you get it the second time, it's not as bad. And you just kind of, I mean, I had AstraZeneca. So.
And it's probably, made you more resistant to this kind of film.
Yeah. I was thinking about another movie that I watched recently this year. Because the movie, she gets catfished, and then she kind of... Because she likes Tag, but then she finds out that she doesn't really like his personality. But then she likes Jimmy O Yang's character, Josh Lin, and she ends up finding out she likes his personality. And oh my god, spoilers! They end up together. But if you didn't see that coming, I don't really like. You need
a lot
to watch
of people,
movies.
Judging from reviews, a lot of people found that a surprising element of the movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I was really surprised as well because of course that was going to happen. Like,
did you think they were going to try to subvert some expectations?
Like when I heard that the ending was surprising, I thought, oh, maybe she doesn't end up with Jimmy O Young. Maybe she, finds out that she doesn't need a man or something. But then, they just end up together. I'm like, what? Well, how is that surprising?
It might have been interesting if maybe Tag kind of has just as good a personality as Jimmy O Yang, And then in the end, she might need to choose because it's not always the case that you will meet someone and you maybe get through the honeymoon phase and then they might not be the person that you think they are.
Sure. That's what I thought was going to be the case is maybe at the end is she finds out that neither of them are ideal for her because, one of them, Tag, while he's super attractive, he's not her ideal personality type. And the other one, Jimmy O Young's character, Josh, he's got a really good personality, but he did catfish her. And that's not cool. So,
the people that this movie is targeted to don't really want that. I think.
Do you think it's probably a studio decision just to make a saccharine ending where?
Yeah, of course. Nobody wants to. It's a Christmas. I mean, nobody wants to think that hard in a Christmas movie. You just kind of have your really nice ending and cool. I mean, not a nice ending for Tag. He's obviously pissed off.
Was he still pissed off at the end of the film? I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, you don't see him again. He's just Die Hard's a shit Christmas movie. And then that's it.
That's a bit uncalled for.
Yeah. But, so he's I mean, it would have been interesting. There was no, I guess, epilogue or denouement, as they call it.
Did she get the article done in the end, or did she quit her job?
No, she gets the article done because, for some reason, the boss is just nice to her. And then it's it doesn't make sense because, it's basically his fault, kind of, that this is happening.
Right.
But they have a line where she's like, oh, I already fired you 5 times, but you keep coming back. That wouldn't happen. I mean, you get fired twice. Like, there's no role where you can get fired 5 times.
Bosses are not that quirky in real life. There's no boss like this that exists.
He's like the quirky boss.
And that as well is a trope that is tired. The quirky boss.
Yeah. No, she, at the very end of the movie, she reenacts the scene from Love Actually, where they hold the signs, and then, like, Jimmy O Yang comes out, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And then, the grandma says, kiss her, you idiot.
No, okay, good.
I mean, it's fine. Like, I don't know. I mean, again, there's much better Christmas movies out there.
I will say the scene where they go caroling is really funny. I found that very funny.
Yeah. The brother is like...
He's like, Dad, you're flat. Yeah.
Dad, you're flat. Yeah, he's just like super into it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's, I don't know. It's all right.
Yeah.
that's all I can really say.
Yeah. I think I would rather watch Love Actually and Die Hard than this film.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Like,
especially Die Hard, but because I like Die Hard. But yeah, even I would take Love Actually over Love Hard.
I don't really have anything much to say more about this movie.
Yeah, it's fine. Watch it if you want. It's still on Netflix. So enough about talking about shit movies. Shall we talk about some good films, Tavi?
Yes, we shall. We managed to find 2 films that are set during Christmas from Japan. And these are probably the only Asian Christian movies, so this might be our first and last Christmas episode.
I reckon they're out there. I reckon there are some like South Korean ones popping up here and there. Because these films are fairly old as well, the 2 that we're going to talk about next.
2 films from 2 maestros of cinema. We're going to be talking about Satoshi Kon's Tokyo Godfathers and Sion Sono's Love and Peace. Well, which one should we talk about first?
Well, yeah, I mean, these films, as I said, they're not super new, and there's not really that much to spoil in them, to be honest. But yeah, just in case you haven't watched them, we'll talk non-spoilers first, and then we'll give you fair warning if we do drop some spoilers. But again, I don't think anything we say in this podcast will detract from your enjoyment of these films. They're just really good Christmas films. Shall we talk about the older one first, Tokyo Godfathers?
Yeah, Tokyo Godfathers is anime.
2003 Japanese animated film directed by Satoshi Kon, who you would know from works like Perfect Blue, Paprika, and Paranoia Agent.
Millennium Actress, and his last film was... a short called Good Morning, which is only a minute, which you can find on YouTube. Unfortunately, he passed away back in, I think it was in 2009 or 2010. I think it was cancer. He was a big smoker. But yeah, he is one of the most respected figures in not only just anime, I think more so in the film world, he's more respected. You can see his influences like in Darren Aronofsky, Christopher Nolan movies. His movies often deal with like disillusionment and double identities.
There's a lot of surrealism, right? I
find in my own work, in a euphemism of copying his stuff, I find a lot of his influence in my own shit.
You've Tarantino'd him.
Yeah, basically. I really love the themes in his movies. Perfect Blue is probably my first exposure to him and probably my favorite.
You would have been pretty young, right, when you saw Perfect Blue?
Yeah, it still holds up today really well. He has a very distinct animation style.
How would you describe his animation style in comparison to others?
The way he draws people, it's not always the most flattering.
It's not cute. It's not your cutesy anime.
All his movies have female leads. He is always doing shifting realities. Tokyo Godfathers is actually his most different.
It is quite different.
Yeah, the one that's most grounded in reality, but also is very fantastical as well. I really enjoyed this movie. Brief synopsis. It's about 3 homeless people. Miyuki, who's a runaway teenager. Hana, who's a trans woman. And Gin, who's just kind of
an alcoholic,
down on his luck, alcoholic man, and they come across a baby that has been abandoned in the trash, and they try to look for its mother and return it. This movie, as we were saying just before, it's very different. It's a lot more grounded in reality, but the big theme in this movie is, which makes it more Christmas than you think it is the theme of miracles and coincidences. A lot of this movie, its plot could be considered contrived, but it kind of makes sense with how it, accompanies the themes of the movie.
Yeah, it leads into it. Like, I mean, a lot of Christmas films, the plot is driven forward by these kind of coincidences that, an audience, if they stop to think about it, they might find it a bit too unrealistic. But, that's kind of the point of it, right? It's like a Christmas miracle. Yeah.
It gets away with it because it's animated. It's weird because this movie, out of the 4 movies, is the least cartoonish. It's probably the more mature one.
That's true, actually.
Than the others, which is, as we were saying before, animated films tend to explore adult themes a lot.
Sure. This particular animated movie is not for children, right? It's more for adults.
It's Satoshi Kon's most accessible film. It's definitely a lot more for kids than, say, Perfect Blue would be. Sure.
There are still some darker themes to it, especially the treatment of homeless people throughout the film.
It's kind of like a adventure, tragic comedy film. Tragic comedy, I guess, is like, it's a film that has some pretty serious themes, but has comedic elements. As you were saying before, it deals with the treatment of homeless people. And all 3 characters are considered outcasts of their society. Miyuki is a teenage girl.
Does that make her an outcast in Japanese society?
I mean, without going into it
they all
too
have their
much.
own pasts that have led them to be cast out of their society, I guess. Well, obviously, probably Hana's is the most straightforward, being a transgender woman.
Without going into it too much, it's like addressing the elephant in the room. Japan is not always the most kindest to its trans community and its female community in general. Satoshi Kon really likes portraying these characters. Gin is an outcast in a sense that, he's just been abandoned by his family.
A loser, right? Racked up all his gambling debts. Kind of just a miscreant.
They've all come from broken families. Dominic, I can feel Dominic Toretto. he would love this movie because family is a big theme in this movie.
Yeah, they kind of find their own family with each other, right? With Gin becoming a pseudo dad.
They act like a family.
Yeah, that's it. They argue,
and bicker.
And especially after finding the baby, who they named Kyoko, they kind of brought together in this quest to find Kyoko's parents. And in doing so, they are kind of forced to face their own past, and they get to know each other a bit more than they did before that night, because they learn about each other's backstories, and it explains kind of how they interact with each other. Again, he kind of acts as the father, the patriarch of the group, kind of trying to lead and thinking he knows what's best for the family. Hana is probably the mother. She
calls her Obasan, that's what Miyuki calls her.
Well, when she's mad, she calls him Oji-san. Oji-san. She's a bit softer of heart. She's the one that kind of drives their quest to find Kyoko's parents, because Gin just kind of wants to get the police involved, take her straight to the cops, which is probably the sensible thing to do in that situation. But Hana, being a romantic, is thinking, she doesn't want this baby's first memory of Christmas to be the worst night of her life. She wants it to be filled with love. So she wants to find her parents.
From Hana's backstory, because you find out that she was abandoned by her parents, and her, who she calls mother, is the trans woman that they come across in the bar where they seek some refuge. And Hana's character is probably it's interesting because she's the one that doesn't have a blood family to go back to, and the one that should probably be the most cynical, but she's always the one that wants to do good. She's the better out of Miyuki and Gin, in a sense that she has every right to be, a super cynical person, but she chooses to do good. And she is it's interesting. She's like a believer in religion, which plays a lot in this show.
Yeah.
The movie opens up with the three at the church, and there's a choir singing Silent Night. The allegory to them being the three wise men is pretty apparent, and the allegory for Kyoko being Jesus is pretty apparent as well. And it kind of subverts that in a sense, because Kyoko is a girl, and these three wise men, the characters of the film, are, a trans woman, a teenager, and an alcoholic man, and the journey they go across to, like, searching for the mother. Now, I was watching, like, a breakdown video, and there's a lot of light. Like, light is a motif that, like, lights the path for them, and wind as well. There's a lot of at pivotal moments in the movie, you can see the wind blow through the characters, and as if it's like leading them somewhere. Yeah, because a lot of the plot in this movie is quite random, but still interconnected. They come across like a Yakuza boss.
Yeah.
They save him because he's being crushed by a car.
And he happens to know the owner of the particular club that they're looking for.
Who happens to be the guy that was responsible for Gin getting into debt.
Yeah.
Who happens to get shot by a Brazilian dude dressed in drag. And then Miyuki, who happens to be kidnapped by this person, who happens to run into a mother figure of sorts who looks after the baby.
Yeah, it's just coincidence after coincidence. And when you think about how big Tokyo is, it becomes more ludicrous. But again, that's kind of the fun of it.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie to watch. It's quite a layered movie. Yeah, Satoshi Kon really knows how to deal with his themes. And I think he set out to challenge himself with this movie. Perfect Blue was his debut. Then he did Millennium Actress, which I saw in the cinema back then. It was awesome. And I think this came out along with Paranoia Agent. And he wanted to challenge himself to do something more grounded, because he'd been doing all these movies that had, these really, like, whack themes, to say the least.
It doesn't have the same mind-bending surrealism as his other works, for sure. The art style is the same, though. The art, it's, like you said, it's not very cute. It's not very pretty.
Do you think that the depiction of Christmas in Japan on its aesthetics is a positive one in this movie?
In this one?
Yeah.
There isn't that much Christmas stuff in it, to be honest. Like, a lot of it's a very lonely depiction of Tokyo, I think. Like,
probably the most accurate depiction of Christmas in Tokyo.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's just the locations that they're in as well. Like, I mean, they go to Kinchicho at one point to find that club. And Kinchicho, it's a fairly big hub, but it's not like a Shinjuku, it's not a Shibuya. So, like, I guess it's kind of plausible that the streets are deserted, especially in, like, the back alleys and stuff. But, yeah, even they're never really in a very populated area of Tokyo, a place where you would see Christmas lights and like, lots of activity. They're always more in, like, deserted areas and like dark parks and things like that. The places where I guess homeless people would be during Christmas.
Just from you explaining that, I don't think the aesthetics of Christmas in this particular movie doesn't depict Christmas well in Japan. It depicts it as a very commercial holiday.
Yeah, and it would be for that group of people, like, Christmas is not the same as, like, what we would have seen, in Christmas in Japan.
They wouldn't give a fuck about Christmas, to be honest.
Sure,
it's cold. They got to scrounge for, like, scraps at the konbini stores.
Hana would go to church, I guess, because she's a religious one.
Yeah.
I guess they do end up at a konbini at one point, and I feel like the konbini would be a bit more Christmassy than is depicted there. But yeah, I mean, it's set over a couple of days as well. It's not just Christmas Eve, right?
You see, like, in terms of the signage, there's always some sign depicting a happy couple or a happy family during Christmas, and it's very commercial, so it's kind of fake. But you said before that it's not particularly a Christmas-looking movie. You know, you don't have the strong reds and stuff, but I think the themes of this movie and the way they tackle the movie and the allegory almost makes it more Christmas.
For sure. I think the music as well. I think the soundtrack helps it along. The presence of snow as well is pretty Christmassy. I think it does have Christmas elements, but probably not Christmas elements that are easily recognizable. Santa Claus isn't in it. But yeah, the allegory of like the three wise men and Jesus, you know, that's there.
But the old guy that Gin comes across, you could argue, that's his inspiration.
It's a bit of a stretch, isn't it?
And he gets the shit kicked out of him after he's dead.
Yeah, dark stuff.
But that's. I mean, not that scene was funny, but the scene where Gin is like comforting the old man. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, can I have a drink of your champagne like before I die?" Yeah. And he like drinks it, and he does that really like exaggerated. Yeah. And then Gin tries to close his eyes. But he's still alive. And it's like, actually, can you do
there are a lot of funny bits in the film. Like, I did find myself laughing out loud throughout a lot of it. So, I mean, when it's mixed in with those kind of darker themes, it's an interesting watch.
I guess addressing it, you and I aren't experts on this, but the way Japan kind of turns its back on its homeless is like an issue there. I recently read a book, I think it was called Tokyo Ueno Station, and it's told from the perspective of a homeless guy. And it's like during the Olympics, they're building all the new arenas for 2020, and they're just like shoving the homeless people aside, away from where they usually reside in Ueno. And it's just trying to kind of like sweep them under the rug.
It's a kind of like a out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, which is not unique to Japan, but
It's addressed in this movie when the gang of youths come up and they beat Gin almost to the inch of his life, really. Yeah. And even then, there's like a slight bit of comedy where the guy tries to do like a Bruce Lee kick. And then he just like stumbles over. And it's like making light of this quite serious, topic. And you don't see them get their comeuppance at all. Like they just walk off and that's it. They just continue being pricks. I think I was watching a video breaking down this movie, and I think they made the claim that Satoshi Kon was trying to say that like, this gang of dudes, that's you. That's the audience. It's a hard truth to face, but that is, I mean, we're not beating homeless people up. That's just wrong. But I guess
I guess he's shining a spotlight on the apathy, I guess, and the non-action side of it, of like the mainstream audience, I guess. I mean, you and I aren't really going to soup kitchens to volunteer, so
we're not as nice as Amelia Clark in Last Christmas.
No, we're not.
She's a better person than us,
right?
But that's the thing. Like those movies are a lot more fantasy. Like they're the kind of like ideal people that who we want to be, but. With Tokyo Godfathers, it's almost like facing the reality of maybe who we actually really are. And it's, as I said, more mature.
Yeah, good film. It goes at a clip as well. Like, I never really felt bored during it. The themes, they're there, but they're not like in your face kind of thing. It's not overly preachy or anything.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a fun time. All the characters are really likable as well. I didn't think I was going to like Miyuki, but, she's good in her own way. Her backstory is kind of interesting. Like, they don't really go into that much detail about her backstory, but, the snippets we do see is like, that's, her story is interesting.
Yeah, actually, going back to the dynamic between the three, and you find them like arguing and bickering like a family. It reminded us of our conversation during one of the Cowboy Bebop episodes with the bickering of the team. It is like a family, and just wanted to give a nod to the co-writer of Tokyo Godfathers, She wrote this with Satoshi Kon. I think her name is Keiko Nobumoto. Yeah, she passed away recently, so, you know, rest in peace to her. But yeah, she wrote this movie with Satoshi Kon, and she worked with Shinichiro Watanabe on the Cowboy Bebop episodes and Samurai Champloo episodes. So
the anime, right?
Yeah, yes, the anime.
just to be clear, she worked on the good stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting to see kind of the parallels in those shows to this one.
Yeah, for this film as well. Like, even for a Western audience, maybe for somebody that hasn't watched a lot of anime, yeah, it's pretty easily accessible, I think. But it's on Netflix, so that's a pretty good start in terms of being able to access it. But yeah being able to connect to the story and the characters and the animation style, I think it's quite a good jumping off point if perhaps you're new to anime, because the story is easily recognizable as a Christmas story. Like, it's got all of those kind of farcical elements to it. Even, like, I could even compare it to something like Jingle All the Way, where the plot is just, you know, him going from one situation to another situation and kind of driven there by, like, happenstance, you know?
I like how the movie depicts its religious themes. Like, there's a scene where they find the baby. Miyuki throws the Dostoevsky book at Gin. And then, like, Hana's like, don't disrespect Dostoevsky, who was, like, in his own right, kind of like a person who was very religious, but was questioning it in his own time. Yeah, he's got a pretty interesting history. He was, like, almost hanged, like, during, I think it was pre-Russian Revolution. But then, like, on the day he was meant to get hanged, they were just like, nah, you're free to go now. And then it was like, oh shit. And that's, like, kind of sparked off a lot of his struggle with his faith and his books. So yeah, there's a lot of you know, religious iconography, especially when they go to the cemetery and they come across all the offerings and whatnot. You see Hana, she eats what she needs to sustain herself, but then you see Gin is not religious and he just goes straight for the alcohol. And he's, like, you know, cynical about that thing. I find it a lot more interesting than just saying this is good, this is bad. And it's not saying you should believe in it. Because I don't even think Satoshi Kon himself was a Catholic or a Christian. I think he was just interested in the philosophy side of things, perhaps.
As a Christmas movie, it does do a good job of towing that line between, you know, it being a spiritual or religious holiday, but also it's just a good time for people, you know?
Yeah.
Which is what Christmas should be, you know? It should be for everybody. Yeah, like, there's a lot, you know, I guess a lot of other religious holidays fall around the same time. So, even these days, it might not be PC 100% to say Merry Christmas to everybody you see.
Yeah.
But I think kind of, you know, however you say it, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, the intent is a positive one.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I think that comes across a lot in this film as well.
No, great movie. I think that's pretty much all I can think of talking about this
watch
movie.
It, because it's on Netflix.
Yeah, watch it. It's on Netflix. No, it's a really great movie. I'm going to watch it again next year during Christmas, or even just in my spare time, really, because it's really a fantastic movie. And yeah, Satoshi Kon, I wanted to watch, I think they made a documentary. They were showing it at the Japanese Film Festival, which I didn't get to go to. But yeah, he's a master at what he does. But on to another maestro.
Love and Peace. This is a 2015 film directed by Sono Shion, who is famous for works like Love Exposure, Why Don't You Play in Hell, which I've seen, and what else, Tavi?
He's got a long list of works.
Yeah, he's pretty prolific, right? He's getting up there, like, almost like a new Takashi Miike.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think, his films are the idea of what, like, maybe people who think wacky, crazy Japanese movies are.
Right.
You probably watched a Shion Sono film. Just to name the few that I've seen, you mentioned Love Exposure, Why Don't You Play in Hell, which is probably my personal favorite.
Yeah, me too. Good film.
He did Suicide Club. He's done Guilty of Romance, Hair Extensions, and he's got a movie on Netflix that I'll probably start watching called Forest of Love. And he also did another movie called Cold Fish. How would I describe a Sion Sono film? His movies are fucking bonkers.
Yeah, I think you described it pretty accurately. It's like, what do you imagine a weird Japanese film to be like?
The coloring that he uses in his movies, all his movies look a little bit grotesque. Wouldn't you say? They look like
exploitation films.
A little bit, yeah, but like sanitary to the point where like it looks dirty. A lot of his films have like bathroom scenes where the toilets just look gross, but they're like clean as well. He's done a pretty big variety of movies. He's done action, yakuza, horror, comedy. I think this particular movie, Love and Peace, I think is labeled his first family-friendly movie. Family-friendly, air quotes.
Well, it's pretty different.
There's nothing egregious about it, but just the aesthetic of it just doesn't seem like it would be for kids, all the themes.
Yeah, but that said, it doesn't have, like, the violence and the sex that his films usually have.
I think it's because his style is so, like, idiosyncratic. Like, I watch it and, like, expecting some, pretty wacky, violent shit to happen. But it didn't happen.
It definitely has the feel of one of his other works. Yeah, even though it is quite different as well.
This movie's synopsis is really hard to explain because
I'll give it a go. So,
go for it.
Ryoichi, played by Hasegawa Hiroki. He's a bullied and downtrodden clerk with a failed music career. He's a loser, essentially. He gets bullied at his workplace. Nobody seems to like him.
Oh, really?
But then his life changes when he gets a pet turtle who instantly becomes his best friend. He names the turtle Picadon and shares to it his dreams of making it big in the music industry and showing the world he is more than what he appears. However, circumstances lead to the two becoming separated, with Picadon ending up in the sewers, where he gets taken in by a mysterious old homeless wizard and his family of adopted abandoned toys. Ryo inadvertently and somewhat accidentally creates a hit anti-war rock song, which thrusts him into a career as a popular rock and roll icon. And antics ensue. It's weird.
It's a really weird movie. The use of fisheye lenses when Ryo is getting bullied. It's really like, it's so harsh the way he's treated at his work, where it's very cartoony. Like everyone's just like tripping him over, pushing him, and then laughing at him, sticking like a hazardous waste.
It's your classic, high school bullying.
It's
like putting a kick me sign on the back on somebody's back kind of bullying, that old school style.
I feel like there's a Japanese guy out there who's watched it. It's like, this is a documentary.
Well, yeah, I mean, sadly it is probably a bit real in the Japanese work culture. I don't know about today, but certainly in the past.
I mean, like, no workplace would get that egregious.
You would hope not.
I think it's the feeling is what is the most relatable.
Yeah, I think I was a bit like,
so
when I first saw him, interacting with his co-workers in that way, they're calling him a dumbass and just like bullying him relentlessly. I kind of thought it might have been like an exaggeration based on his anxiety. Because, like, there are scenes where he's on the train and everybody is staring at him, even though they're not. It's just it's just his social anxiety, a representation of his social anxiety. But, I'm pretty sure the bullying is actually accurate for you. It's not.
I think it's just kind of a stylistic manner to show Tokyo as almost like kind of a fantasy place. Because, as you said, there's a wizard that just lives in the sewers with a bunch of toys that talk, which I really like those scenes.
That's good.
I think they're all done practically. So the scenes in the sewers workshop is your typical Santa Christmas workshop looking place. You see like all these toys that have been abandoned and animals that have been abandoned, and the wizard implied that he gives them the ability to talk, of consciousness, and then he they all like talk together, but it's all done in a very like practical
there's a lot
effects.
of puppetry involved. I think the Kiyotaka Taguchi is involved in this movie, who's a director from the
Who's
Ultraman series. So they use a lot of practical effects, not just for those scenes, but also for like the kaiju-esque scenes. That's where all of those, like, a lot of the film is kind of like an homage to those tokusatsu films from the 60s, like your Godzilla and your Gamera.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that it was like a homage to the like kaiju movies and that kind of thing. Do you think people these days, if we showed this to, I don't know, I guess a general public person, and say,
I don't know who you have in mind. Okay. If I showed it to her...
No, I wasn't actually thinking of her, but now that you mentioned it... I was just thinking more general.
She would appreciate it on some level. Like, she would know what they're trying to do. I don't think she'd like it. Yeah, I think it's easily recognizable even to mainstream audiences, the look. Like, if you've watched Power Rangers, which, a lot of people have, you know what we're talking about. Like, it's like Pacific Rim with less CGI, with no CGI.
But I think it just adds to the style of the movie, because, like, as you're talking about all the scenes where he's just suffering from social anxiety, it just, like, makes the movie exist in this kind of hyper-real world. You know, it's like, I don't know how to explain it, really. It makes it, like, less realistic, but it's just a style, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes
it's a fantasy.
Yeah, but sometimes you do feel like everybody's staring at you, even though they're not. Yeah. So, like, I guess.
Well, it's kind of like whenever I went to the supermarkets in Japan and I used the self checkout, and I had to switch it to English because they would, like, speak to you in Japanese first. And then you switch it to English, and then it would talk in English, and it's really loud. To me, it sounds really loud because it's the only one that's speaking English. And of course, I know nobody gives a shit, but for that 1 second, it feels like, here's the phone, get him. And it's like, oh, quick, like let me get my instant noodles.
And I mean, we probably suffered from that a lot less than our other friends that lived in Japan.
Yeah, for sure.
With us being Asian, it's fairly easy for us to blend as long as we don't talk.
Blended.
But a lot of our friends have mentioned that they would get on a train and just be stared at a lot of the time, or even if they're not stared at, they always feel like they're being stared at. So that does exist, and because Tokyo is such a populated area, like that amount of eyes on you is probably that is portrayed quite well in this film, like in those scenes where he is suffering from anxiety. And a lot of it comes down to Hasegawa's performance as well. Like, he does such a good job at playing both his roles, as like the downtrodden, bullied clerk, but also like the over-exaggerated, like, rock star.
It is definitely a contrast of the film when he's like this really pathetic guy to this really smarmy rock star who, like, betrays everyone who got him to his fame. And, like, he's even kind of cool,
Oh, he's definitely cool as a rock star.
Just thinking about the plot, because one of the main themes of this film is abandonment. There's a B plot which involves talking toy cat and Maria, which is like an abandoned doll, and they are trying to look for the kids who abandoned them. But having to go a few plot points back, Ryo is, like, shamed by his colleagues when they find out that he has a pet turtle, and then he flushes him down the toilet because he feels ashamed. And then he regrets it after, and then Picadon goes to the wizard's workshop in the sewers, and he meets the cat and Maria, and then they talk about all the toys there that have been abandoned by their owners. When the wizard gives the turtle the wrong pill, and he ends up growing into like a middle-sized kaiju, I guess. And they try to help the turtle get back in touch with Rio, I suppose. And they kind of roam the streets with Picadon looking for... Well, Maria looks for her child owner, but the cat is a bit more cynical about things. It's like, you're not going to be loved
It's
again,
basically Toy Story, you know?
a much more a darker Toy Story.
Well, no, they're abandoned toys, and they're looking for their owners, I guess. You know?
A sadder Toy Story.
I don't know, Toy Story is pretty sad, man, if you think about it.
Well, I mean... At least in Toy Story, the toys get rediscovered, whereas this is kind of a spoiler, but I wanted to talk about it. Maybe I'll mention it later.
But yeah, they go off to try to find... They go into the real world, basically, and find that, you know, maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be. The ending is a little bit... Even in comparison to the rest of the film, the ending is a little bit weird.
It's not a conventional movie. I mean, I guess there are some clear acts, but the plot is bonkers.
The acting is typically over the top.
It's super over the top. There is another, I guess the love interest is probably someone that we should mention.
Kumiko Aso as Yuko.
Yeah, she is the only one that doesn't like bully Rio, and then Rio has like a massive crush on her. But like once he gets like famous and stuff, he starts like obviously seeing like younger women and then like brushes her aside.
Well, it's also because he's kind of ashamed of his past as a loser, and she reminds him of that. She and the turtle, I guess, remind him of that. Yeah,
I guess that's just like following the like abandonment theme again.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it reminds me of a movie. It's a Japanese film. English title is Nobody Knows. I think the Japanese title is Daremo Shiranai. And it's about like this mother abandons her kids in like this apartment, and they just fend for themselves. And I think that I've seen that story a lot in Japanese cinema, and it seems to be like a big issue, like just like abandonment. And I wonder if that is like an issue that's there that they want to kind of like talk about in these films. Picadon is flushed down a toilet because I don't know whether the allegory or not is, let's say, I guess like in history, if your child is born with like a mental illness or born with some form of defect, it's kind of looked down upon. And I guess that's like, you know, the East relationship with disabled people hasn't always been great. And maybe I wonder if the turtle itself is like a metaphor for that. Like just you have someone that you love as, you know, a family, but then you are under the pressure of other people, you know. And the dark side is, you know, you yourself are a person and you yourself don't want to be at the butt of this discrimination from society. So you feel ashamed and you try to abandon it. It's sad, basically. You know, there's a lot. It's heavy in this, and it's heavy in this, I guess, seemingly family-friendly movie.
Yeah, for sure. The abandonment of the toys, especially like the toys, even though they're all puppets, they're so likable as a group of characters.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
I guess similar to the toys in Toy Story to draw on that comparison again.
They are. Yeah,
but yeah, like the fact that they have been abandoned, even just because they're old, I guess, is the reason for their being abandoned. Like, what's her name? Maria. Yeah, she kind of figures out that, like, well, maybe not Maria specifically, but the wizard definitely kind of notes that, like, when he comes across the bargain sales, he like goes on about, this isn't a bargain, like you guys are going to get abandoned eventually, I'm going to see you in the sewer very shortly, kind of thing. So that's a kind of cynical portrayal of I guess commercialism and how fickle people can be in terms of like once they're bored of something they just get rid of it. I guess.
You mentioned that there's a lot of animals that are in the sewer. So whether or not people are just buying these pets, an animal is a life, but to some people they are just like objects that once they get bored of, they just toss away. This happens a lot. When I was in Laos, and I've read about I think it happens in Taiwan as well, and in China, that dogs are often just abandoned, and there's a big stray dog problem. And maybe in Japan there's a big stray cat problem. Like you see cats everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just tossed aside once they're not wanted anymore. And I think the good thing about Australia is we don't do that. You don't see many stray animals because I think here we do value the life of an animal as a family, and I can really respect that. Not shitting on our Asian neighbors. We love you guys. I know some of them are listening to this.
But there are a shitload of stray cats in Japan. So many stray cats.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. But yeah, people are often abandoned too.
I guess that's a big theme of the film. There are a couple of things that he kind of touches on. Like there's a anti-commercialism thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Even that he brings up like the fickleness of the music culture, I guess, the music industry. When Rio first makes his debut song, it's like a really moving moment. It's a touching like tribute to Picadon, and it's a kind of a big it's a very dramatic part of the film where he first sings that song. But then once his company gets a hold of it, they change the lyrics to make it have a bit more commercial appeal. They kind of like put it through the process of production. They add like a choir to it, and it ends up becoming just like a generic rock and roll song kind of thing.
But to be fair, the song is fucking catchy.
Dope, man.
In both iterations, in the pure form and the commercial form, they're both really catchy.
Yeah.
In fact, I reckon the chorus actually did add to the song because it is pretty epic. I know what you're trying to say, Sion Solo, but they're both too catchy.
It's a good song.
through the rest of the week after I watched it, all I had in my head was love and was tonight. It's so catchy. It's great. I want to get the album or something and just listen to the song.
I like the depiction of the musicians in this film. And
they're very over the top. You see a bit of an interesting contrast with them because basically you come across them because Rio is doing his pathetic whining and crying and looking for his turtle, and then he just stumbles at the feet of one of the musicians busking because the guitar looks like a turtle.
It's a really funny scene.
They just kidnapped him all of a sudden. I don't remember. I think he's just walking in the street.
They just see him and they push him into their van and bring him to their live performance that's happening on the street, and they chain him up and put him on a leash, and they're like, yeah, we brought this crazy person, enjoy. It's really weird. I don't know if that is a thing that that rock bands do in Japan, but I hope not.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think it's just you. The funny thing is, you kind of believe it in this world because how much shit he goes through.
Sure, it's viral marketing as well.
I think that's all we need to do, Dan.
Kidnap a crazy person.
Kidnap a crazy person and chuck him on the podcast. And then make a really catchy song. That's what we did with Risky, actually. No, Risky got here on his own terms. It's really
bonkers.
funny. And then they make him sing a song, and then he sings the demo of Love and Peace, which is the song Looking for His Turtle. And I guess that's how that plot point connects to the toys in the underground, because they're listening to the radio and they're all singing Love and Peace. And then that like basically sparks the turtle wanting to look for Rio.
Yeah, and eventually turning into a giant kaiju.
I like the turtle design. It's very cute, and just the I guess the dialogue that it does have some dialogue in the end.
Right. Yeah.
Should we mention spoilers? Because I want to talk about one scene.
All right, yeah, let's talk spoilers.
But yeah, Love and Peace. Check it out.
It's or awesome. At least listen to the song, because the song's dope.
Yeah. The scene where all the toys go back to the wizard, who is basically Santa. So he's Santa. Did he, like, roofie them to the point of zero conscience when he goes to deliver them? Because I thought, like, they're like, did you just, like, spike the drinks of your toys so they would, like, die and he could give them away?
He did. I don't think he was killing them.
Yeah.
But he did make them revert back to their original selves, I guess. I think it was just a matter of, like, turning them into something that people would want again.
Yeah. That's a very... I don't... really know what's your son is saying with that. Because the way he is deceiving them, it's like, I'm like, man, that's I mean, I don't really know how to feel about that, because what he's doing, he thinks it's good. Yeah, for sure. He's as you said, it's basically giving them value, but the value is them being objects, which is like kind of sad.
That's what I meant when I was saying the ending is a bit weird. Like the message is unclear, or it's either unclear or it's darker than I want to admit for such like a light-hearted film.
It's a Sion Sono film. He's not gonna end it with Jimmy O Yang meeting Nina, and then it's gonna be an ending that you have to think about. I guess we can try to dissect it now. So what happens at the end is that the turtle turns into holy fuck, I'm just remembering now, they kidnap the turtles to do like science experiments on.
Which Rio knows about as well. Rio knows about that happening, and he's like, I just need the turtle once a week for their song.
It's very not quite Okja, but it's not really kid friendly, because they're quite horrifying scenes. The
turtle is like pinned down, and like you said, it's a really cute turtle, and surrounded by like all these scientists in white like lab coats trying to figure out what the hell this thing is.
It just came back to me all of a sudden. It's pretty horrific, but you don't see anything bad happen to the turtle.
You just see them like sharpening their saws or whatever, but you don't actually see them using the saws on the...
No, they don't get a chance to, because Santa comes in and gives the turtle like I guess it's a wish pill or something, and then the turtle swallows it and becomes a giant kaiju, and then goes to see Rio, who is at the peak of his commercialism. As you were saying before, they're singing the Love and Peace song with the choir at the stadium,
and it's like gone catchy. Full like visual K.
He's gone full visual K, and the turtle is just like Godzillaing itself through the city, and the army even comes and tries to like shoot the turtle, and like it's almost a bit heartbreaking to see, because it's like just trying to go to see Rio, who has kind of abandoned the idea of what the turtle means to him, and the turtle is just a form of musical muse for his commercialism. Because the turtle does come back into the film, and it just sings like these songs in its one syllable word, and then Rio steals the melody.
It's just another thing for him to use to get success, basically.
But then the turtle goes, and what does it say?
It quotes back things that Rio said to it when he was just a loser still. So he says, I'm an iceberg. You can only see the tip of me, but actually most of me is underwater. Like basically saying there's more to me than meets the eye. So he's kind of... by reusing lines that Rio said to him, he's kind of reminding Rio that this isn't him. This visual K superstar isn't the real him either. Like, he's more than that. He's a nice guy at heart, I guess. And that causes Rio to abandon whatever he's doing. He gets off the stage. He does lock eyes with with Yuko. But he's even too ashamed to kind of talk to her as well, because, you know, he realizes what he's done to Picadon, which, you know, Picadon was like his only friend at one point. So, yeah, and then how's the film end? Rio kind of goes back to his life of being not quite a loser, because he still looks like healthier, I guess, than he did at the start of the film. But, you know, he's not a superstar anymore.
Well, no, he would have lost his record label for sure for running off stage.
Right.
But yeah, he goes back to his old apartment, and then you do see Yuko just standing like at the end of the corridor, and then that's it. It just finishes, and so it's very ambiguous. And yeah, just listening from that, like, I guess I wonder even if he is a good person at his core, because with all the shit that he's done over the movie. I mean, do you think he can redeem himself?
Yeah, I think it's the classic story of, like, it's something you've seen before. It's somebody that, you know, it comes from humble roots, but then, you know, is thrust into the spotlight and it goes to his head. Like, it's not an entirely original plot. And generally, when you see those kinds of films, you know, the characters do have redeeming qualities, and it's just that the fame, you know, gets to their head, which, you know, it could happen. It probably would happen to us if this podcast ever became a super successful. You know, we'd probably end up like with Visual K hair. Yeah, if that ever happens, Tavi, let's try to remind each other that, you know, we're icebergs.
We just need, I don't know, like a kaiju. What's an Australian animal? Like
fucking quokka.
A kaiju quokka to come in and remind us that we're more than we are. But we're probably not that deep.
Yeah. We're actually assholes. Any amount of fame isn't going to change that fact. I found the subplot of the toys a bit more of an oddity. Like, Rio's kind of arc, to me, ends in quite a normal fashion. But the toy thing, like, because the Santa character, the wizard guy, he's like, commercialism is bad. You should try to treasure everything for as long as you can. Like, don't just get rid of stuff just because you get sick of it. But then at the end, he turns all the toys back into their original forms to presumably give out to people. But then, you know, at the end of the day, they're just going to end up in the sewer again, aren't they?
Do you think that plot works? The side plot of the toys? Like, do you think it fits into the movie?
To me, I found it a little bit jarring, because because I'm not sure what he's trying to say with it. Because it does seem like a bit of a downer ending for those toys, you know?
But the movie wouldn't be Love and Peace without them. You know what I'm saying? There is a purpose, whether it just enhances the mood.
Oh, for sure,
it just ties into, again, enhances the themes of abandonment and stuff. Whether, like, some people would be polarized about the addition of these toys or how it was handled, because it is admittedly pretty random and jarring, but I couldn't imagine this movie without the toys, because I really just personally like those scenes. Whether or not they're meandering or not, it kind of just adds to the film.
And especially as a Christmas film, I think, like, they definitely have a place.
Because, like, you're always trying to push the story forward, which the toys don't necessarily do all the time. But I feel like they are done well, and the movie would suffer without them.
During the London Film Festival, I think late 2000s, Sion Sono was invited to screen a film of his choice, and he chose Babe, Pig in the City, which is an interesting choice for him, but, you know, it kind of showcases his love of that genre of, like, you know, talking animals. And
I watched the first Babe on TV a couple of months ago. It's a good movie, man.
It is, and the sequel is good too.
How good it is.
Yeah,
I should
Babe,
watch
Pig
it.
in the City. At first, when I first watched it, I thought it was just a cash grab. On second viewing, you know, it's got layers as well, man. It's a good watch.
Yeah. I wonder if this particular friend of mine is listening, but we're big fans of the Paddington movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Paddington movies. We like watch them. Like, why is this good?
I don't think I've seen a Paddington movie.
Yeah, like, it's just, they're both really good movies. I think, yeah, my friend, he's like, hey, man, you should watch Paddington. Like, it's good. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sure it's all right. I remember even seeing it get, like, good reviews. Sure. But, like, I'm a man.
Yeah. I'm a man. Yeah, time for soft-ass shit.
I watch like kids stuff. But, I watched it. I'm like, wow, this is a good movie. It's very, like, I mean, there's no dark themes like in the Sion Sono movie, but, yeah, it was actually quite enjoyable.
Do you remember a show called Johnson and Friends? It's about a group of talking and walking toys. I think there's a stuffed elephant. There's an accordion that talk. But yeah, there's something very heartwarming about toys that can move and talk. And I think that's what these toys in Love and Peace bring to the film, is like that kind of heartwarming Christmas element. Because like when I first started watching it, I'm like, is this really a Christmas film? Yeah,
me too. And then it's like it gets into Christmas.
It eventually transitioned to more Christmassy stuff, and it begins with the turtle encountering those toys and the old wizard. So I think without those toys in the film, it definitely wouldn't be the same film, and it wouldn't really be as heartwarming or as Christmassy. But then the ending of the toys, to me, it doesn't really fit with the heartwarming presence of them in the rest of the film.
It's pretty depressing. Actually, you mentioned our questioning of whether it is actually a Christmas movie. I was thinking that there was nothing overtly saying it was Christmas, but it did feel very Christmas, and I think that's with a lot of the soundtrack. There's a lot of renditions of Beethoven's Ode to Joy, and there's the other. I don't know what the arrangement of the piece is. You hear it in A Clockwork Orange. The one that goes do 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 do. You hear it a lot throughout the movie, and that just felt like a Christmas song. And then just seeing all the toys, there's a lot of reds and greens that pop out, and it just looks like a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And I think that magical realism aspect of it just made it
when they're walking, when they go to the surface and they're walking through the streets and it's all Christmas time, the shop fronts kind of are glowing. This kind of warm light is emanating from all of the shop fronts into the street. They're all decorated for Christmas. All the toys, they're not like the new toys. They're kind of like old school dolls, which gives off more of a Christmassy vibe than something like a Transformer or a Lego Star Wars would. And even the people selling the bargain sale toys, they're all wearing Christmas hats. It does have a lot of Christmas elements, especially in the second half of the film.
I feel like that aspect of when you see all the salesmen and stuff, it looks like that really nice, shiny, bright Christmas. But I feel like underneath, Sion Sono is commenting on the commercials.
Yeah, for sure. Because those guys are kind of pricks to Santa as well. They're kind of like, what are you doing? Fuck off. Don't touch the merchandise kind of thing.
Man, what a great movie, huh?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, good film.
We should probably... maybe we should start wrapping this one up.
But if you are looking for a film that is kind of an obscure pick for your favorite Christmas film, you might want to give this a watch, because Christmas films are kind of hard to classify, I guess. Just because something is set during Christmas doesn't necessarily make it a Christmas film. There do have to be other elements that people associate with Christmas, whether it be the soundtrack, like you mentioned for Love and Peace, or the vibe or the themes. People watching it should be reminded of Christmas. For me, something like Last Christmas, it does, even though it's set during Christmas and it's called it's Last Christmas. It's not really. I don't really think it's a Christmas film.
Neither is Love
if you take
honest.
the Christmas setting away from it, it's not a Christmas film. for the other two films, Love and Peace and Tokyo Godfathers, like the fact that they're set during Christmas isn't really a big part of it. It's more the themes and the feel of it and the characters and you know, the heartwarming nature of the films that make it feel like a Christmas film.
I feel like a lot of people wouldn't be looking for these two movies for Christmas.
Probably not.
Movies,
Probably watching Die Hard or Love Actually.
Or Love Actually, yeah. No, these two movies are fantastic. I mean, just from the conversation, they're not necessarily the most feel-good. Tokyo Godfathers is pretty feel-good.
Yeah.
This movie is like Love and Peace.
It's a mixed bag.
I find like all the bullying and stuff really funny in this movie. I mean, I'm not condoning bullying.
No,
I just find it funny in the context of the film because it's so over the top. Yeah. But it brings to light a pretty dark, you know, aspect of human nature. But yeah, I would definitely want to watch these movies again during Christmas. And also, I don't know what we're going to cover next year. We'll just have to look for more Asian films. Yeah,
I'm sure they're out there.
Christmas.
If you have any suggestions, guys, please do leave them in the comments because, yeah, we don't know everything that's going on in the world of Asian cinema. You know, yeah.
Yeah. No, we don't.
Yeah, let us know.
I mean, we talked about Arcade last week, so clearly we're running out of
We're already running out of material. We're 3 months in and we're running dry. Please help us, guys. Please.
Yeah. But yeah, no, give these movies a watch. I think they're great Christmas movies.
I mean, most importantly, you know, have a good Christmas, guys. Or have a happy holiday.
Safe.
However you want to celebrate it. Hope you're surrounded by loved ones, and hope you're not just listening to this podcast on your own.
Yeah.
And if you are, that's all right too. You know, however you want to enjoy your Christmas, your holiday break. Thank you for listening, as always. And yeah, if you have your favorite Christmas films, or if you have any recommendations for us, let us know in the comments, or you can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com, or join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation. Yeah, happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Hope you're having a good one.
Happy New Year.
Hope it's not 40 degrees or something ridiculous. I hope it's a reasonable temperature and you're having a good meal. Yeah,
and probably have a better 2022 compared to a 20 and a 21.
Fingers crossed. And yeah, I hope Spider-Man No Way Home hasn't been spoiled for you yet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, by the time this is released, it probably will be. But anyway. Oh, well.
All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.
See ya.